Hello, 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 everyone. It's the Diddy Do with Dean and Stacy, and we're here again this week. We want to talk with you about shame as well as authenticity, because those two can go very much hand in hand when you're stepping out onto a platform or, just trying to do anything in life, really. How it can affect you and how your feelings about things that you might not even necessarily understand you have shame around. You just have a way that you want to handle things. And so being aware of that can be powerful in processing the energy around shame and how you can step out into being in a new way. So I'm going to hand it over to Dean and let him talk about this topic a little bit as well. And we will wrap it up here very soon for you so you can get on with your day.
All right. Thanks, Stacy, very much. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun to do these ditty doos or ditty bops or whatever we're doing here. So it's always fun to give some information out there that hopefully people can use and apply to their lives. You know, when you think about shame, I think of a time in my life where I was bullied when I was a kid in grade school. I was bullied by these two kids. They were sixth grader. I think I was about a fourth or a fifth grader, and they were bigger than me. And there was nothing like that. They would hit me, but they couldn't hit me that hard. They'd make little cherries on my face and stuff. But it was a shame of them, uh, you know, uh, belittling me and that kind of stuff. And it was really difficult as a young boy, to be shamed by two older people that were bullies and that kind of stuff. And so if you think about it, it's to be beat up by a bully. It's no fun. And so you can have that mentally in your life, physically in your life, vocally, they can beat you up, and it tears down your authenticity of who you are as a person. So what happened is I got older and they got older, right? And what happened was as we got older, I'm in junior high or high school now, and I'm walking with a buddy of mine in this field, and I see this guy that used to beat me up. There he is he's chopping wood for his family or whatever. And I walked over to him and I said, "Do you know who I am?" And he said, "No, I don't know who you are." "Yeah, well, you used to pick on me all the time." Well, guess what I did? I beat the crap out of him, right? And I took off and I walked, and my buddy's going, "What in the world did you do there?" So a couple of days later, I saw the other guy, and he's walking up the hill, and as soon as he's walking up, he has to pass us, and I went up and went wham! I hit him, and we fought across the street. We were duking it out. This guy was a little tougher than the other guy, but I beat him up, right? And so I'm not condoning beating people up, but what I am saying is when things get you off kilter, when you don't feel like your true self, there's a lie that somebody has embedded in your mind that you're not worthy of who you are, right? I'm worthy of all the good that God has for me. But the enemy, if you want to call it the enemy, will come in and mess and muddle up your mind and say, you can't stand up for what you believe. You can't stand up for what is true, because there's all sorts of physical things that begin to happen sometimes that somebody will say something, part of our family, they'll say, why don't you go get a real job? You're going to speak on stage, or you can't even hardly speak. Why don't you go get a real job? So these belittling little comments can really begin to destroy and kind of mess you up. And so that anyway, those kind of things. Um, think about your authenticity and staying with that and keeping that your true north. What is your authenticity? Very important. So what do you think, Stacy?
Well, I think when you have experiences like that, you have a choice on how you're going to handle them. But that also includes having the choice to believe it or not. And so, especially when you're impressionable and you're at a younger point in life, you can have a simple thing happen or even a simple sentence that somebody says that just hits you wrong or hits you in a way that makes you see yourself maybe in a negative connotation. And they might not have even said anything that actually was, intentionally mean,
Right.
uh, or, to imply or impart on you pain. but you took it a certain way and then you held on to it and it became your story.
Mhm.
And when you have that happening in you, you look for validation that it's true because your brain is trying to protect you, correct? It's
Mhm.
trying to say, hey, man, that hurt before. That's a red flag. They have the same behaviors. Don't go over here and don't do that because, this looks familiar. So it doesn't allow you to necessarily be all who you could be because you've attached this story to who you are and it grew to a level that has kept you hidden in some way, shape, or form. So it can mold you into somebody that you maybe are not real thrilled and happy to be. And when you become aware of this, and I think as we get older, if we start doing this self-awareness processing, or if you don't have somebody that's a safe place to land to talk about these things, or to even explain to you that you are worthy, that you are lovable, teaching you how to have self-compassion for yourself, it can be very difficult to navigate life.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we come in as coaches too, because it seems like most of the time, if somebody is struggling to try to get something, to create something in their life, it goes along with the belief pattern of some kind of shame, guilt, not feeling worthy. So, how do we process those things? Well, we help you do that
Yeah.
through the self-development coaching and even leadership um, development that we help impart on people and getting down to really the root cause of their belief pattern and the shame maybe that they're holding on to, and how can they process self-compassion for themselves so they can look at it with a different lens and transition into a better way of being.
And
So
I
that's just
and I hopefully I don't condone the beating factor. That's when I was a young kid. So,
absolutely
I
not.
deal with things a little differently. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was going to say absolutely, absolutely. And then what it causes when we have shame is it causes us to do things we maybe normally wouldn't have done, and you're trying to stand up for yourself in a different way, and everybody has choices on how they want to do that, but then it builds the shame of like, now you're going through oh my gosh, I did that, I stood up for myself, but now I feel terrible because I actually imparted physical pain now too, and it
Yeah.
just escalates. Now I'm the bully. Like, am I the bully? Like, you start having those thoughts.
Right.
So, life is all about how we perceive things in different times in our life. Even as I get older, I look back on how I handled things with my children, how I handled things as a teenager, how I thought I was doing things right. And now I'm really into this self-awareness, assessing of myself. And it can be painful, very
Yeah.
painful, but it can be so liberating. And
Absolutely.
it really comes down to self-compassion, not just for you, but for every single person in this world.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to end our Diddy Do.
Okay.
We are happy to always have you join us, of course, and have a little self-compassion for yourself around those feelings. Also, with any emotion, I always encourage people to sit with themselves, take a deep breath, think about the feelings that make them feel shame or anger, and then try to locate it where it is in the body, because you will physically hold it in your physical body as
Yeah.
well. The emotions will show up there, and so will dis-ease because you are not at ease within your physical body. So there's so much more to this, but we wanted to tap into it a little bit here with you today, just so you could see we deal with all kinds of things, not just the emotional aspects of a person going through life, but the emotional aspects of a business or a group of people. It's just
Leadership.
all encompassing. Yeah, leadership, community, struggles, everything. So anyway, have a wonderful day. We'll see
All
you
right.
next week.
Adios.